on this Tuesday night? Woo, man, I'm feeling good today. Why? Because it's the Get Snap podcast. You know who it is. It's your boy Darnell Sparrow, aka the Bad Superman. Check out that YouTube page, like it, subscribe to it. Got some good stuff on there. And of course, you know who he is, the notorious PIMP, Antoine Smooth. What's going on?
Man, what is going on? How you doing?
Man, we about to have a good one tonight. Not all episodes aren't bad, but this one, we talking about it because we talked about it on the last show. We doing it tonight. But before we do that, I had to put the mic down. We got to get shots of the ball. Roberts, he's been under that weather. We know it's not the Rona, but we know with that weather change, you know, your body just do some crazy things. So get well, boss man. Got to get you back on this show. We can do some things, but always know that you got my back on these shows. And let's what we got going on wrestling wise. Oh, we got to get shout out to USA Championship Wrestling. They're going back to the Omen Arena Thanksgiving night. November 26th. They are going back to the Omen. I'm definitely excited about that. It's going to be 2 rings, one night. So that alone says it all. It's going to be a 20-man, 2-ring Brian Christopher Memorial Cup Battle Royal.
Oh, that's going to be
that says enough. Ringside seats $25. General admission $15. Junior admission for kids are just $5. So that's Thanksgiving night back at the Omen Arena. They're all going to be leaving Studio 45. I believe at the I believe it's their Halloween show, be their last show. So they're going home. So that right there says a lot. But they do have shows coming up. And by the way, if you have shows that's coming up and you want us to advertise it, send us a message on the Snap Customs page. Send us a message. We'll be more than happy to do it. But as always, got to show them love. This Thursday night, Studio 45, 7:30 bell time. Seats are $10. The main event for that show is Razzle Dazzle with the team of Big Gravy and Dancing Charlie. They will be going up against Addison Kane and Marvelous Mike. You're going to see the Star Twins, Derek King, Honcho Henley, USA Heavyweight Champion Flawless, Jake Lawless will be there for that show. Let's see what we got. I believe we have something else if I can get it open. October 9th, Gladeville, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Tennessee. I don't know if I got Arkansas on there. I think I've been hearing that a little bit too much today. But Gladeville, Tennessee, at the Gladeville Community Center, October 9th, 8 o'clock, $10. Main event for that show, newly crowned Southern Heavyweight Champion Luke Cage will go one-on-one with the diva himself, Dylan McQueen. Again, you'll see U.S. Heavyweight Champion Flawless Lawless, Honcho Henley, Jake Savage, Dancing Charlie. They'll be there. Tickets are $10. And finally, back at Studio 45, October the 10th, 7:30 bell time. Seats are once again $10. Main event, 6-man tag team action. Razzle Dazzle and Andy Mack will meet straight up violence. So that alone says it all. Let's see, Tyler Thorne's going to beat a Marvelous Mike, Honcho Henley, Double D Danny Dollar, and more. So I just gave you 3 days back to back to back of pro wrestling. You need to pick one, and you definitely need to be there. But are you ready for what we're going to talk about tonight?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
The last show we talked about, we wanted to bring up a few topics. We talked about doing shows, having like a little watch party. But there's one thing that came up that we definitely have to talk about. And I'm talking about, and you know this very well, this is near and dear to your heart, and this is your backyard. I'm talking about the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Championship. Now, we always talk about the NWA title. We always talk about the WWF title. We always talk about all these championships. But this Unified World Heavyweight Championship, to me, especially here in Memphis, that is synonymous, big word, with professional wrestling. So I want all the youngsters out there to get your notepads out. Okay, because Smooth and now we about to take you to school.
Right.
We about to let you know how significant this championship was. We're gonna talk about, guys who carried it you didn't even know had the title, because this was a legitimate world heavyweight championship. But before we even talk about the people that's in it, let's give them the history.
Yeah, you read
Because
my
see, this
mind.
all started. Yep, this all started when the USWA was trying to get all these other organizations to come together to have one world heavyweight champion. This was Jerry Lawler was trying.
Yeah.
He went to the end of it, didn't want to do it. WWF didn't want to do it because he believed,
All the
it should be
territories
one
get
world heavyweight
together.
champion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And other than that, you were a company champion.
Right.
So that was his goal. So world class championship wrestling bit. And then on December 13, 1988, Super Class 3, Jerry the King Lawler.
Yep. Jerry Lawler remember he was the AWA champion.
Right. He was then the AWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
Against the modern day warrior, Kevin Von Erich, who was the world class heavyweight champion. And on that night, Super Class 3, and if you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. On that night, the Unified World Heavyweight Championship was born. Now, I'm going to start out with you. Like I said, this is your home.
Mm-hmm.
This is your negative. What made that belt so significant, other than, that it was unified?
Well, everybody was wanting the gun for that belt. It didn't matter who you were. Everybody wanted that unified championship. Even the mid-carders went for the unified championship. That's how significant it was, And also, when they finally had their match, remember now Jerry Jarrett, he bought World Class, which became the USWA.
Yes, he did.
And so with that, everybody and their mother was gunning for that belt. It didn't matter who you were. You could be at the bottom of the barrel, you could be at the middle or at the top. Everybody wanted that unified title.
Because remember, at one time, they actually had a different version of the Unified World Heavyweight belt.
Yeah, which I personally own. I got a replica of it.
And then they changed it they took the AWA belt, and they just changed the plate and made it the Unified World Heavyweight Championship.
Right.
But when it came to Memphis, I mean, because we all know it is synonymous with Jerry Lawler. But we about to talk about some guys that carried that championship, whether you knew about it or didn't know. I mean, there was
some surprises, and there was also some surprises that held it as well. That you like, huh?
Right. And there were a combined 67 title reigns. Mm-hmm. The title was deactivated in November 1997, but 67 title reigns.
Right.
I want to let that sink in. 67 title reigns. With Jerry Lawler, of course, having the most, with 28.
Mm-hmm.
Pop quiz. Who had the second most reigns?
Oh wait. Let me think about that for a minute. See. Now I think the second most reigns was
See, this one I didn't know. I'm looking this up. There's a lot to remember. I wouldn't even thought this one.
Yeah, well, let's see. I just this on the tip of my tongue.
Get back. There's two. They're tied.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is hard.
A hard one.
One of them.
Yeah.
Was Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He had four reigns.
Four. Was it Kamala?
And the second was Kamala.
Yeah.
There it is. Kamala had the second reign.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about some of these wrestlers. Goes down the list. Of course, there's Jerry Lawler.
I'll tell you who the second.
We already know.
You know who he beat. Well, who beat Lawler for that belt the first time?
Yeah, which is actually where I was getting ready to go with. He's reading my mind. A man by the name, we know him now as The Undertaker.
That's right.
But in 1989, he was known as the Master of Pain. And again, he was there when there was the CWA.
Right.
And let me tell you something. If you didn't see everybody now so used to seeing him, they probably knew him as Mean Mark
Right.
or the Undertaker. But go back to those days in the USW and the CWA.
Mm-hmm.
He was badass, and he can cut some good
Yeah, he
promos.
did. And he wore a red bandana tie and had jeans on. And had the boots on, and he was managed by everybody know who this manager is in Memphis. His name was Ronnie P. Gossett.
There he is. Oh, big Ronnie P. Ronnie P. used to manage some of the best. He couldn't stand Lawler. And he was one of those guys, and a lot of managers did this back then. They used to go out in the woodwork and get anybody that was anybody to come after Lawler. But Master of Pain, surprisingly, he had more reigns than what he had. But he was young. He was a young guy. And who would have thought that man back then turned out to be one of the greatest ever? Okay, how about let's talk about Soul Taker.
The Soul did. Now, if people don't know, the original Soul Taker, that is the Godfather. We know him as the Godfather now. He had so many gimmicks. Papa Shango.
You knew him at
all that.
Papa Shango.
Right. Kama. Oh, can't forget Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine.
Yeah, whatever that is. But yes, he was the Soul Taker back in the USWA. When was he AWA as well? I'm sorry. Was he CWA as well? I think
so. Yeah.
He came late.
Him and the Master of Pain used to team up a lot too.
Now I want y'all to keep in mind this is 19. These them lady going into the 90s. Again, that's why I told you guys, get your notebooks out. Because you about to learn something. You about to be like, really? Did not know that. And this is going to make you want to go back and look at this stuff. Because we're not making this up. This is genuine, straight up knowledge you about to get tonight about this one specific championship and why it was so great. But we mentioned a guy on a previous show who was talking about Memphis Legends at one time. And we mentioned this guy, King Cobra. Now, what was it about King Cobra?
Well, I'll say this. King Cobra, he was they say he's the first black unified champion. And of course he wrestled in Mid-South too. If people don't know this, he also wrestled in Louisiana in Mid-South for a short while.
Yes, he did. See that? Told you, get them pads out. And was very known back then.
And so him and Jerry Lawler had a thing going on, and he actually won the unified title, the first black unified champion.
And here's the thing about that. That came about because, Lawler, this at the time Lawler was on that phase of turning heel. And all King Cobra wanted was an opportunity. Lawler didn't want to give it to him because he felt he wasn't worthy. He was kind of low on the card, according to Jerry. But he shocked the world. He became unified champion. He only had it for 9 days, but hey, a winner's a win in my book. And now we got another guy. He had 2 good reigns. And of course, Lawler was in that mix as well. We're talking about another Hall of Fame. We're talking about the Boogie Woogie Man. Now, was Jimmy Van, especially in them 80s, you go back to the Mid-Atlantic days, the NWA days, and even in Memphis, he had a lot of energy.
Very much.
Good or bad. He had a lot of energy, and he can go either way, good or bad.
Fans love him.
I mean, the man from New York City, the handsome Jimbo from Memphis. I mean, what was it you liked about
Just
him?
like you said, he had energy. He could talk. He could talk people into the building. You know, he used to go out to the crowd and kiss them. You know, they loved that stuff. He was just very entertaining. You know, he talking about
Wasn't even the best
yeah,
wrestler because what he used to when he was doing to throw some punches, he used to win with just a
just a
plain
plain
elbow,
elbow.
like a
Yeah.
jumping elbow.
See, them type of guys that you don't have to do much in order to get the crowd on your side. You know, so
Exactly.
talking about he rolled into Memphis
Nah.
TWA, telling Handsome Jimmy's on the way. They loved it.
Yeah. Yes. Like I said, I had the opportunity to meet him maybe about a year, 2 years ago. Still a nice man. Nobody never really said nothing about it. He probably one of the nicest people to me, and that he is
Oh
definitely
yeah,
is.
no doubt.
You can't help but
Mm,
not like him. You just do all the clapping and just high fiving
right.
everybody. Talking about some have
Hmm.
mercy, come to
Either
man.
Boogie Woogie or Handsome Jimmy. Now, he was Boogie Woogie in the Mid Atlantic days, and then he was
Yep.
Handsome Jimmy here in Memphis. But they still called him Boogie Woogie. You know, so either or, you gonna get something out of him. So,
You knew what time it was when he came
right.
out. But we jumping into the night. I'm gonna let you tell this story because you know a little bit more about it than I do. Snowman.
Hmm.
Tell the people how one Snowman came into the mix. He won the unified title, and why he got stripped of the unified
All
title.
right. Now, let's start off with this. Okay. Now we gonna go back because the people that don't know, the Snowman was actually in Mid South once again,
Yes,
and
he was.
he won the Mid South Television title when he beat Jake the Snake. He only held it for 6 months, and then he lost to Dutch Mantel. And Dutch Mantel became champion. Then he started to come work his way to Memphis. Okay, and so he was this big, big, strong dude. I mean, he looked intimidating, no doubt about it. And he had an entourage with him. That was the first time we ever saw somebody actually have an entourage come to the ring with him. And he was saying that Lawler wouldn't give him a title shot because he was black. You know, they don't give the black people opportunities. And then all of a sudden, Eddie Marlin came and said, well, that's not true because we gave King Cobra a shot. But then he started to call King Cobra and Uncle Tom and all this other stuff, you know, and called him all kinds of names and stuff like that. And then Lawler just got fed up. He's like, that ain't what it's about. He said, if you want a shot, just ask for it. Okay. And so they had their match at the Coliseum. Okay. Uh, Snowman won the unified title. And then there was a rumor, and this is a legend now. They said that he went to the uh, crack house or something like that and pawned the belt off, which I talked to Snowman personally. I know him personally, and he said that is not true. I don't know why people made that up about that, but they said he pawned the belt off for crack or whatever. He was a drug dealer, a drug addict or whatever, something like that. And they stripped him of the title, and the title was vacated.
Now, the story from the USWA
Hmm.
saying that he was stripped because he no showed
Yeah, that's
title
true too.
defenses.
I was just about to get to that.
Now,
Yeah,
he had a 70-day reign, but the story you just told, that was heavy back then.
right,
That's something they probably wouldn't touch that right
right, because
now
that was never done.
with all this
Right.
that was never done. And trust me, go. It's on YouTube what he's
Hmm.
talking about. So again, I told you, get your notebooks out. He's not making this up. Just go on there, and it has the whole story. The quality is not all that great on the footage, but that whole story, what he just told you, is on YouTube. I wanted him to tell it because, like I said, he knows that story a whole lot better. He followed it back then and everything like that. But yeah, that's one of them stories. You try to pull that off now. Somebody's gonna get sensitive. TV marketer probably
Hmm.
get sensitive. And the way, like I said, I seen the footage. you wouldn't know if he was shooting or not.
Because
The
it
way
was
they did
good. It
it.
was very good. It was kind of like what the gangsters was back in Smoky Mountain. They put the disclaimer on there. So they kind of disclaimed what Snowman was saying. You know, like this is not of TV5 what he's saying. We don't condone what he's saying, you know. So they kind of had a disclaimer on
Exactly.
Snowman when he was talking about King Cobra being an Uncle Tom, and he's catered to Massa and all that. It was crazy. It was crazy then.
Yeah, so I highly recommend you gotta do the type in Snowman USWA tire or Snowman Jerry
Hmm.
Lawler feud. It's on. You definitely like Kim I said, you gonna learn today? You go see that you definitely will learn. But let's talk about Terry Funk. Terry Funk Jerry Lawler feud
Synonymous.
was was synonymous. It was to me one of the best. But Terry Funk, excuse me, Terry Funk to me hasn't had a bad feud
No,
with anybody. He is tailor made. You want to talk about tailor made
he was
heels?
one of them.
He was bona fide, certified. I put my stamp on. I put the branding iron that he might say. Put the
Right.
branding iron on it, especially in 1990.
Because they go back a long way. They even go back to the early 80s.
Yes, they go. They probably go back. Shoot, we look at. They probably go back to the 70s. If we
Yeah,
really want to go
because
back.
really Terry Funk came in. This one he had no had no goatee then, and had the little cowboy hat on. And he
Hmm.
was talking about he was from the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, and he started to yell at everybody and go crazy on Lance Russell, and that Terry Funk there was something serious. I'm telling you.
Now, was that empty
I
arena
think
time,
81 or
or
82
that was
was
after?
empty arena. Yeah, around that time.
Now, if anybody knew what we're talking about, Jerry Lawler, Terry Funk had one of the greatest matches, and it was an empty arena match. And they took it. When they say they tore the house down, they literally
Hmm.
tore the house down. You want to talk about one of the best? So a lot of people argue
Mm-mm.
Mankind Rock. No,
Oh,
Lawler Funk, Mid
right.
South
And they
Coliseum.
paved the way for people like Mankind and The Rock to have those matches. 'Cause he
Tell them
paved
again.
Lawler and Funk paved the way for Mankind and The Rock to have those matches and other people in general.
Because again, they took it seriously to do. Because if you watch it, you would have thought they was
That's
fighting
how
for
good
real.
it was, and it was so believable. They did. I mean, it was so believable. You thought, man, these guys are actually they hate each other. And that's what we missing in today's wrestling.
Oh yeah, you can't have that good. See, rivalries today don't last like
Right.
for years anymore, and that's the problem. See, like, so you come to Memphis. First of all, you come through Memphis.
No
You
doubt
going through
about it.
Jerry Lawler. Whether he's a heel or face, you going through Jerry Lawler. And what I liked about Memphis is they knew who to bring to Memphis. They knew who would draw money, and they didn't just go out and go get just any big bad dude to go after Lawler. They knew who to go get, and they
That's right.
wanted to come to Memphis. And spelling, we talked about the Mid South Coliseum. You know, it is. Right now. It's a historical landmark, so it's not going anywhere. But that's is one of those places. Anybody that was anybody. I told my daughter this when she came from the UK, and we drove to the Mid South Coliseum. I told her anybody that was anybody, sports, music,
Mhm.
it don't matter, was in that
That's
Mid
right.
South
Elvis had his
Coliseum.
first concert there. The Beatles had their concert there.
I mean, I think that
Five had
The
yeah.
Jackson Five. I mean, anybody.
Right.
I mean, legends. I mean, it's not a huge. The thing about it is not
Mm-mm.
a huge arena, but it's just the fact that you know, especially back then around the '60s, '70s, '80s,
Right.
Memphis
And
was
I
a
can't forget
hotbed.
this. I can't forget Tiger basketball with Dana Kirk. and Larry Finch. That was all. That was. I mean, Memphis was a hot spot, especially for Tiger basketball with Dana Kirk in the crew. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about the empty arena thing, that says it all. Like you said, that paved the way for
hmm
a lot of empty arena matches
right.
and just matches in general. Now, we've been talking about people that we know. Let's talk about people that most people, some may be unfamiliar with. Kind of like this guy, managed by Reggie B. Fine, which we'll be talking about
Former
here
champion
in a
of his
little
own
bit.
right. Oh yeah, Awesome
Awesome
Kong.
Kong.
Yes.
Yes, Awesome Kong had a short reign. And if you don't know who we're talking about, most people probably remember
They were
him
called.
being in a tag
He
team
had his tag
in
team partner, the
WCW,
Colossal Combs,
the
right?
Colossal
With
Kong.
his partner King, right?
Yeah, that's right. So yes,
Mm,
Awesome Kong came to Memphis, courtesy of Reggie B. Fine, and his whole purpose was to take the
that's right.
unified title off of Lawler. He was what, a good
Mm.
400 plus pounds, big dude, had that big, I don't know, that Korean goat
Right.
monkey he had around him.
He sure had that, man. That was, I don't know what that. I think he was. Uh, I think did Vader kind of had that look, when he had that little
Yeah, Vader had that white
right
South Mongolian panda
with the White
when he
Castle
had.
of Fear match with Sting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We talking about guys who really didn't need the
Right.
unified title. He was one of them, and we're gonna talk about the next one. You probably know a little bit more about this one than I do. So the
The
Dragon
Dragon Master
Master.
down, yeah. Like I told you, anybody that was anybody, you could be at the bottom or the top. You getting that unified title. It didn't matter who you were. You know, a broomstick could win the unified title. That's how it was.
Right. See, we could
Right,
have. We probably
exactly.
could have had a reign.
I mean, that's how it was. I mean, people you never thought won the unified title.
I said we already talked about Kamala, and now we're gonna jump around '92. Even Coco Beware. Now, Coco Beware only had it once.
Now, hmm
And correct me if I'm wrong, this was around the time
yeah,
when
he
he
just
just
left
left
high
High
energy,
Energy.
but still wearing the gear.
Yeah, and still wearing the gear. And I'm
I
surprised he
thought he
only
would
had
have one.
one reign, and he had it less than a
Yeah,
month.
me
I
too.
was a little surprised on that one because this was around the time where he was
Yeah,
trying to find himself. He didn't know who he wanted to
right.
be. He
That's,
didn't
and
know who
see,
he wanted to
Coco
be.
Beware was one of those guys that was very underrated. The guy could work. He could drop kick. He could
Very.
punch. He could do all that.
It's, I mean, you talked about, you brought up Mid South a lot. He was super popular in Mid South. Then he came to me. He was, under the Jimmy Hall's first
Him and
family, the
Norvell Austin.
PYT Express. And
He was
what was
Stagger
the
Lee.
mask gimmick he had?
hmm
There he was Stagger Lee.
Came out to the song. Yep.
I mean, Coco. Yep. Coco. When Coco became champion, like I said, this that time
Oh,
he
I
came
forgot.
through.
He
He didn't
was he
know
was
who he
one more
was.
person. Sweet
He did
Brown Sugar.
forgot. Oh yeah, you took it
Right.
all the way. Yeah, that's all the way.
Uh-huh.
That was way before Coco.
Right.
He was always Coco aware. Then when the bird came in, he came
hmm
Coco Beware.
Right.
Still, still,
Do the
still
bird.
come out
Right.
to do the
Did
bird.
he? hmm
Still wearing the high energy pants. So he can't do the brain
Called
buster
the
no more, or the ghost buster he
right.
used to call it. So he just do a DDT. But he one of those guys that's still going, still
Yep.
love, Hall of Famer. But I think one of the funniest, since we talking about Coke, then one of the funniest storylines he did And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kamala had something to do with it.
No, that was
Was
Reggie
it
B.
Kamala that ate Frankie?
Uh-huh.
That was Reggie B.
Now
Because
see
they
what
thought
it
he had
was.
somebody with it,
Now see what it was
like a big dude.
Reggie stole his stole Frankie, right? And then he, the next week
Mm-hmm.
he came out with a garnish hen in a pot, those
All right.
little pans, the little black pans that you put garnish hen in. Yeah, he had that on TV,
Yeah.
and Lance lost his mind when he saw that. He said, "Let me tell you something, Reggie. That better not be who I think it is in there." Man, Reggie opened that thing up and he started eating it, and man, everybody went crazy. Talking about that was Frankie. Yeah,
With I mean, that was one of the, like I said, you talk about Reggie. Anything Reggie do is funny. That was, and the way, and Coco's
yeah,
reaction
because he
to
was
it made it
mad
even funnier.
because Reggie
I mean,
actually held him up for ransom. All he wanted was $1,000 for it. And he only took just like he said, okay. And then he down, he decreased it to 200, and still had it.
and
Yeah,
still bought. And you could tell it was again. Cause I think me and you was watching
yeah.
that episode. We was
That's
like,
what
you
he
got the
had it
Cornish
in that little
hen.
black pot. And Lance lost his mind. Told him, he said he better not be Frankie in there. Like Reggie opened it up and there was this little garnish hen or whatever, and he started eating it on TV, and people lost their minds. And Reggie sitting there just laughing. Now you can see all his
I've
gold teeth
never seen.
smiling. Yeah.
And then and seeing that Frankie, rejuvenated in the WWE Hall of
Yeah.
Fame when he number 2'd on the
That was
stage.
funny.
I said, he ain't- oh. And then he
Yeah.
did. Then when they did the reunion, he had the stuffed bird. I'm like, he when
Right.
he died, came back,
Mm-hmm.
and now
That
he's
was
stuffed.
that was hilarious.
Now
Mm-hmm.
here's one that I didn't know. I'm sure you did, but here's one I didn't know. I didn't know Ricky
Yep.
Morton was unified champion
That was a
in
short
'92.
stint. Very short stint.
And so he beat Hostile Eddie Gilbert, had it for a
Mm-hmm.
week. Eddie Gilbert won it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's something I did
That's
not
right. He
know.
did. That was just for a week. It was at the Coliseum, as a matter
So,
of fact.
but like we said, anybody had it. But again, Ricky Morton, one of those guys, still today, one of those guys you cannot help, but you can't help it. You just gotta like him. Very nice to talk to. I mean, real nice to talk to. Just talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
About a couple weeks ago or whatever. When
Right.
they were doing the USA tapings, he was there. I'm sorry, the Friday before the Jerry Lawler show, and just got to talk to him. He's just nice. He's friendly. If you
Oh
old
yeah.
school, he loves
Mm-hmm.
talking old school.
That's
Loves
good.
it,
Still
and,
good.
and still going. I mean, he moves.
Exactly.
He
I
moves around
seen
better
him
than some of these young
on
dudes.
NWA Power when him and Ricky Morton went against Thomas Lattimore and got that guy's name. But they had their tag match and Ricky Morton moving like he did back in the day.
Right. And like I say, they still wearing the rock and roll shirts, still wearing the
Oh
tights.
no.
They don't double drop kick like they used to. Because they don't want no hip replacements. But he always want to get the
He just
fans
love the wrestling
involved.
business. He love it.
Like I said. Now let's talk about. Now we mentioned these two names, so I'm gonna kind of do them in one swoop. Junkyard Dog had a 3 week. He had a 3 week when he beat Eddie Gilbert. Butch Reed came behind him, and I know in the piece of it you talked about. They had good rivalries.
What between Butch Reed and Junkyard Dog? Man, look, you had two. You got two African Americans. They was top guys back in Mid South. Once again, they had a feud, had the ghetto street fight. It was probably one of the better rivalries in the territory. It was so good that it came to Memphis. So they drug it to Memphis, where the part where Junkyard Dog got spray painted with the yellow streak down his back with spray paint and got tarred and feathered. Okay, and then after that they moved it to the
Yep.
WWF at the time, and they had a little mini rivalry. So they thinking that we want to rekindle this in USWA because it was money back then. But yeah, Junkyard Dog he beat Butch Reed for the title. And but they once again they were talking about how Butch Reed won the belt, and then he no show. Yeah, like he no
These brothers are
showed
no showing.
when he beat Junkyard Dog or whatever, and then Junkyard Dog got it back, something like that.
And yeah, I said it. What's up with the brothers no showing? Yeah, I said it. You get offended, my bad. And let me correct myself. Coco actually had 2 reigns. So I want to correct myself on that. But again, when I talked about it again, take the notepads out. Now we talked about the Soul Taker being unified champion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he the only man in USWA history to win a unified title under 2 gimmicks?
That's right. Because I know where you're going. I know exactly where you're going. Papa Shango. Right.
And then I tell these youngsters, so I tell these youngsters who I'm talking about.
He's the only wrestler.
Papa Shango. He has won it under 2 gimmicks. That's crazy. This is 93, so this was around the time a lot of WWF guys were coming just in and out.
Memphis and the WWF, they did a partnership,
Because I'm just go down just 3 straight names. We talked about Papa Shango. We talked about Owen Hart. In the PK, we talked about Tatanka. A lot of people probably do not know. And I want you, because they always counting like his WWF title reigns, his WCW title reigns. But guess what? Randy Savage was Unified World Heavyweight Champion in 93.
Who did he beat? There you go.
He beat Lawler. And this was and like I said, this was that time. I mean, that especially during those days. When we talked about it on the previous show, this was the time every show, Mid-South Coliseum show, had a theme to it.
Right.
So you knew who was coming. And when Savage came, because this was the time where they were telling WWF, hey, bring the best. Bring who you got. And Savage was like that
big.
And
he already had
Savage came
in Memphis back in the early to mid 80s. So yeah.
Exactly. Because like everyone that came, yeah, they beat him, but he won it back. But when Savage came,
oh yeah, sold out.
It was on.
They sold that Coliseum out when he came.
And that's one of the things. Again, you talk about Memphis wrestling. Memphis knew how to book.
Jerry. Right.
I don't care what. Yeah, Jerry. I don't care what nobody say. Memphis, especially around this time, knew how to book a show. The show could be whacked from the start to the semi. You knew who that main event was. You was going. You didn't care who wrestled prior.
Right. That main event.
The
opening match could have been TD Steele versus Freezer Thompson or something. Yeah.
It could have been me versus the referee. You were still gonna go. You were still gonna get popcorn. You were still gonna stay in your seat and wait, because they knew how to advertise, and they were real big on advertisements. They knew who to bring down. That's one of the things that really got me in, especially when I moved to Memphis. That's one of the things that got me really into it, really got me into doing a little bit more research. And just thank God I got the opportunity to see a Mid-South Coliseum show. Not the Monday night shows, but the fact I got to see a lot of shows, got the chance to meet some legends, got to meet the fabulous Jackie Fargo, got a chance to meet Soul Man Rocky Johnson. That's what was
Right.
doing Jerry Lawler's birthday bash, and it's those two alone.
Yeah.
And they're both not
No,
here
they not.
anymore. I didn't realize how significant it was
Oh
until
yeah, man.
later. But let's talk. And this was around the time that temporary deal with the WWF and USWA ended. So now they started. A lot of the guys, a lot of in-house guys, was winning the USWA title. One of the ones I'm surprised that really took them long to
Yeah,
win
that's
the
true.
USWA title was Jeff Jarrett. He didn't win the USWA title, unified title till '93, and he been there. He was a Southern
Mm-hmm.
champ, but he was Texas champ for a bit. I'm
Yep.
not mistaken.
Started out
He
as a
was
referee
a
before he
tag
became a
champ.
wrestler. He was 19. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it took him all these years,
That's
to be the
right.
unified world heavyweight champion.
All that the double J
And this
with
was
the
around when he
lighted
started
up
wearing the goofy
cowboy
gear.
hats and all that stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was in WWF.
Yes. I mean, 'cause I remember he was like simply
Mm-hmm.
irresistible. That's when I really
Yeah.
started watching him. Then he was like the Golden Boy. But he was all these names like, but we talk about Jerry. People know him now.
Mm-hmm.
Following him probably in the
He
TNA
pretty
days.
pretty good
But how
wrestler.
good
He
was
knew
Jeff Jarrett?
he was known really to team up with Billy Joe Travis. That's when them two was really good. They was really good tag team. One of the best I've seen in USWA. And of course he teamed up with Robert Fuller. Right.
Ooh,
Yeah, everybody know is
that's a big
Colonel Robert
endorsement.
Parker.
Yeah.
You know, they
And I believe he
had to
had a, he
beat the
had a,
Moondogs
a title
actually
reign with
for them
Lawler for a
tag
minute.
titles. That's right. And
You go back,
he
you
was a
look at
good
that
worker. Yeah.
long haired Jeff Jarrett, them young Jeff Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna Double J way before the Double J.
Yeah, he was.
Jeff Jarrett was good. He's another one that needs to be. We talked
That's
about
Jeff
guys should be in
Jarrett,
the
yeah.
Memphis Hall of Fame. That's another one. And like I said, this was around the time a lot of in-house people, Gilbert,
Okay.
was winning. And let's talk about Eddie Gilbert for a second. I was a fan of Eddie Gilbert. You mentioned earlier, because I grew up watching him in the Mid-South days
Right.
when it was Eddie Gilbert, Missy Hyatt, Rick Steiner, and Sting. He ruled the
Mm-hmm.
USW, the UWTV title.
Yep.
Him and Sting, I believe, won the tag titles
That's right.
back in those days to come out
I
the
didn't
hot stuff by
understand why
Donna
he was a
Summer.
baby face because that shocked me as a kid. I'm looking at him like he's a baby face, really? Because let me tell you something about Eddie Gilbert down here. He was hated down here. He was the ultimate heel. To me, he's a better heel because of the feud him and
Oh
of
yeah,
course with Jerry Lawler.
that's no
He
question.
actually wanted to be Jerry Lawler,
No,
actually, when he grew up.
and I remember Jerry Lawler told the story about how Missy Hyatt bought a crown from Law for his birthday. He said when she wanted to put on some sexy clothes or
Uh-huh.
whatever,
Yeah, I
they
heard
got
that.
into bed. He wanted to
Yeah.
watch Jerry Lawler.
Ain't that something? Yeah,
But
it
there was no
was.
doubt. Eddie Gilbert was tremendous. You say good on that microphone. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
was a
I mean, he could get the crowd
way
pissed
better
off.
heel.
Right.
And then when he title from me,
Yeah.
you talk about pissing Memphis off, because if you take
Right.
the shot off Lawler, it's like a riot. Like if Cena wins,
Yeah,
ride,
because
but if
see,
Lawler loses, you
now
ride.
the
That's pretty
people
much
that
how it
fought
was in
Law,
Memphis.
like it could have been anybody, but if it was Eddie Gilbert that beat Lawler, that's when the crowd really got mad. Yeah, they got mad at some of the others, like a Bill Dundee or whoever that beat him. They was upset, but they wasn't like when Eddie Gilbert did it. That's how hated he was. Yeah. When Eddie Gilbert did it, man, the crowd wanted
Exactly.
to tear. They wanted to get into Eddie's throat. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm.
Now, again, we schooling. Now, a lot of people probably don't know, probably don't remember that one of my favorite big man of all time
Mm-hmm.
was
Oh
unified
yeah.
champion. I'm talking about Sid Vicious. Yeah, Sid Vicious had, two good reigns, and this was I want to say this way on Psycho Sid. He was
Right.
more he
Because
was
we go
Psycho Sid
back
before
once
Psycho
again,
Sid
we'll
was
go
even
back
thought
to
about.
WCW when he was him and Dan Spivey with the skyscrapers. He was still hollering and screaming, you know. So yeah, see it was Psycho was already.
Yep. He,
Hmm.
I say he didn't need no mic. See, he won the title by a forfeit. I said he came back. He had two good reigns. And you mentioned Bill Dundee earlier, and he was another one of those guys. You go to
Hmm.
a promotion, especially
Right.
Tennessee, those Mid Atlantics, even in the AWA.
It was.
He was one of pound for pound one of the best, arguably pound for pound one of the best wrestlers out there. But why it took him all the way to 95 to become the unified champion? That's
I think it was
that's one of
because
those
of
ones.
Jerry
Again, I
Lawler.
question.
I'm talking about as far as him being that top guy. Because I put Bill right on next to Jerry Lawler anyway. I always have.
Oh yeah, he has. So I remember the
Right.
match they had, the final they had because they were tied. I
Hmm.
believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they were tied, and I believe Dundee beat
Right.
him. So
I
he
don't
had pretty much the
understand why
most
it
wins
took
over
him that
Jerry
long
Lawler than
because
anybody.
he's been Southern champion, but he's never been unified champion. And I didn't understand why he didn't get it earlier. I don't understand it.
And then he had like a 1 month reign. Now maybe you can tell me
Remember,
the how Razor
yeah,
Ramon
they were
came
still
about
doing this
in
changes because
'95.
remember, the
Were they
nation
still
was
doing
still going
exchanges
on. The
then?
nation was about to form at that time. You see, and yeah, they were still doing the talent exchange
Hmm.
then. So, like you was mentioning about Owen Hart and people like that, Kamala, not Kamala, but when Randy Savage came back in '94, and all these guys that won the title, yeah, Razor was one of those guys as well. But he didn't had a short run though. Didn't know. Like, and then
He had
another
a
one.
good one
You
month
probably
reign. Like I
gonna
said, that's
mention
one
this
of those
next
I
was
didn't
Ahmed
know.
Johnson.
Yep, he was my next big
Yeah.
and win. And
Now
this
he
one,
was
Ahmed
believable.
Johnson was like on
Yeah.
fire. Ahmed Johnson, I mean, he could. You remember when he talked, he couldn't
Yeah.
cut a promo. He need one of them
But
bouncy
he was
balls to
intimidating,
understand
boy.
what the hell he was
Man.
saying. Back to come out with
Yeah.
the tights and the knee pad going way up all up his thigh,
Hmm.
boots. I mean, when he
Which
beat
I
Lawler,
can
that was a
understand.
shocker though. When he beat Lawler. But
That's right.
the funny part, he lost it to
Hmm.
Jared in Tunica, Mississippi, and then of
Hmm.
course, like I said, this, but Jeff Jarrett got hurt, and there was a tournament
Hmm.
tournament held. He beat Mabel in the finals to win it. Now, which was funny because
Right.
Mabel was
I
never
believe he should have
unified
been
champion, but
unified
he was the
champion because
USWA
he was
champion,
king of the ring at the time.
and still exactly that's where I
Hmm.
was going with that. I said he was still doing the
I
King
didn't
Mabel,
understand it.
but you didn't put the belt on him. And then, like I said,
Hmm.
Lawler got the title. 4 days later, it was
Hmm.
vacated. Of course, he won it back. Then with Jerry Lawler, Sid Vicious. Then we go back. We talk about guys who was kind of and with winning the title, and we talking about Mike Rapata, aka for those who don't know, is known as the Colorado Kid. Now, no notch
He
against
was
the
Bert
Colorado
Prentice
Kid.
apprentice, I think.
Colorado Kid was a
Yeah.
great wrestler. Yeah, and he was,
That's
and for
right.
those who didn't know, he was an NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He won it in 2000.
Yep,
That's
Burt
around the
Prentice
time
managed him.
the NWA. Actually, he's a two-time champion. I mean, because I actually got to see him when they did when they was doing
Yeah.
I guess you say like a wrestling Hall of Fame type moment.
Yeah, that was
It was like
Burt
a legend
Prentice's
show at the Omen. He
he was
actually
his
was there.
pet project, That's right.
Yep, trained by Jeff Jarrett, Tojo Yamamoto, and Ken Wayne. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1994. Like I said, but that, again, it was one of those guys, unexpected, just like
See
the one I'm about
what
to
I'm
talk
telling
about
you. I
now.
just
Tank
see
from the True Commission.
anybody won that title.
And what killed me, like these guys will come in. Oh, pop quiz. And for again, get your notepads out. Tank
That was
was
a
another
long
gimmick in
time ago. Oh my
WWF.
God. Oh,
Do you remember who he was? He was this gimmick first before he became Tank. And you mentioned this on another show, this character's name. It's something you're probably not thinking of. So I'm gonna help everybody out. This
Mantar.
man,
Oh God.
if you go back, he was Mantar first. Yes. So Mantar turned into Tank and
That's
became the
right.
Unified World Heavyweight Champion. And
Because
correct me if I'm
Kurgan
wrong, he
and
was under a
Recon and
mask.
them was there at the time. Yes.
And then they had, the manager who I actually liked before they got their other manager in WWF. I know him as Cyrus, but that wasn't his name back then. But I like
The
the
South
original
African True
manager that they
Commission, right?
had, the South African True Commission. Now we where I wanted to be. The 65th
King
USWA World
Reginald. That's
Heavyweight
right.
Champion.
He won it again. That's right.
King Reginald.
Was his second reign? One and only? Yeah.
No, that was his one and only.
And who did he beat?
April 12, 1997.
Yeah, that's right. He was king. He turned into King Reginald.
Jerry Lawler
and he
again.
had Queenie with him. And he had this fake looking belt that everybody is synonymous in Memphis wrestling. And the old school fans know this. He had the Unified Championship.
And Lawler had to call that out.
He said Unified.
He was like, wait, what's that spell? What did that say?
Right.
And that's one of those moments you could not help but laugh about. Like I said, Reggie B. Now a lot of people make jokes about guys who do comedy,
very good at it. He
like
made
comedy
it work.
gimmicks. But Reggie was good at it.
And people,
that's what made Reggie was good.
Oh my God, he jacked.
Reggie looked like he probably in the best shape he looked even before he was. When I saw Ralph, like, I saw him. I said, he got the guns
man,
out.
I'm telling you.
I said, he pulling up.
He was jacked up when I saw him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I saw him at the law thing, when I took the picture with him.
Right, and people need to realize this is really him. That ain't just a camera. He's like that for real when you meet him, because he's hilarious.
And cool. Now he one of those guys. Again, you talk about wrestling wise, you may not like him.
They were trends. They were hot trends then.
Like him.
So he followed the trends. Like Master B, the No Limit was hot back in the time. So he Master P, right?
Never understood the Candyman point that came out looking like R. Kelly in the Chocolate Factory. Had the little red suit on, bringing out the candy.
He
Now,
never
I ain't
know.
get that
He
one.
was
I said
tailor
Reggie is
made to
not.
be heel,
Reggie isn't
and
no
they couldn't
baby
stand
face.
Reggie, even when he made them laugh. Yeah.
I said you couldn't.
He done that a lot.
And I think
He
because
done
even
that a whole
sometimes he
lot,
broke
especially
character,
the
he had to
Coco feud.
laugh.
Yeah.
Well, if he can truly say, yes, I was unified champion. Now we're going into the final USWA heavyweight champion, Dutch Mantel. Now you talk about, you talked about Bill Dundee and Lawler had some long feuds. Dutch Mantel was another one. You go back again, go back to those CWA days. Because he was CWA heavyweight champion at one time. And he wanted to go after Lawler. Like, but he was no different than everybody else. Everybody wanted to go
Dutch
after Lawler.
Mantel was
Again, you
from
come through
Oil
Memphis,
Trough,
you was
Texas.
going through
He
Lawler.
came and he had Shoot Baby the
So
whip. And I mean, Dutch you talk about somebody that was vicious and cruel and mean. They didn't call him Dirty Dutch for nothing. As Lance would call him, the Dirty Dutchman.
now again, did you know about how a
And he was
lot of you
Uncle
current folks
Zebediah. Don't
might have
forget
known
that
him
one.
as Zeb Coulter?
When he managed
That's nothing.
Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Yeah.
Yes. Can't forget about the
Yes.
Yep.
He was mean as they
I said,
come.
but you talk about Dutch Mantel in the ring. I mean, he was the past wrestler Texas Dirt. And that was funny when a lot of Memphis, when they come to Memphis, you talking about losing
They always
time.
came with a mask.
They broke that rule so many times. I think Lawler probably the only one. If you lost a losing leave time, he was gone.
Yeah. Right.
You ain't see him.
And they were wearing masks every
But
time they
everybody
had
else,
lose a lead. And then they had under a new name, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like PG-13. They were the cyberpunks. They had lose a leave town, you know.
I'm like,
God.
I remember when Hogan tried. I said,
Yeah.
if you gonna do it,
When
at
he was
least
the yellow
he tried it. I remember
yellow,
when Pillman tried it.
Yellow Dog.
Yellow Dog. Like at one time he came out with the whole yellow suit on, then all of a sudden he kind of left there. But we knew who you was by the voice. We knew who you was, how you was. You was still doing
Rose
the same.
Do that too?
That slingshot clothesline.
Midnight Rider.
Yeah.
Right.
Midnight Rider.
And who could forget Ronnie Garvin when he was
a character
Atlanta
way
Live
before he did it.
Remember that?
Oh God.
Well.
I try not to. I try not to remember that. But ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about it. Now, out of all those we talked about, we get ready to shut it down here. Time fly when you're having fun. Take Lawler out the equation. Who was your favorite USWA heavyweight unified champion?
To exclude Lawler,
if you had to exclude Lawler.
Man, okay, go ahead.
That's one we didn't mention. We could do it right quick.
Todd Champion. Forgot about him. Forget.
Todd Champion.
Remember, for people that don't know who Todd Champion is, he teamed up with Pat Tanaka. They were known as Bad Company. And Patriots and WCW.
And then you got to remember you talk about the Patriots and WCW with 5. And this was around the time he left WCW. He was a babyface in WCW.
Right.
Came back to Memphis as a heel, still wearing the same clothes, the Patriot clothes.
I think it was
Burt
Prentice.
Prentice is man with Ronnie P.
Because remember, once again, we sound like broken records, but anybody could win that title.
Right, 'cause like I said, every manager came through. You know,
Hmm.
they went and got these guys. Like I said, they came through. Even
That's
if you
right.
didn't really know who they were, you knew them. You know, by the time they left Memphis. But but I'm gonna let you think on it real
Yeah, you
quick.
know
I say
what?
for me,
Yeah,
I
I'm
pick
with
up
you on that, Eddie
my
Gilbert,
favorite probably Eddie Gilbert.
because of the way the heat that he got with Lawler, you know, was that's why.
I think
Because anybody else could beat Lawler and they be like, okay, he'll get it back. But when Eddie did it, it's just something about Eddie Gilbert that made them really hot at him. Talking about how he was gonna be the king of Memphis. So right, I'm with you on that. Eddie Gilbert was mine.
right, and there it is. We talked about it. We talked about the USWA Unified Championship. I hope, for all you youngsters that listen, I hope you
Yeah.
learned something tonight. Because this was one of those very educating. Like I say, I learned something. So why can't you? But get ready for tomorrow night because it's that time. Well, like I said, one of my favorite. That Wednesday night Q&A. Haven't got any questions come through yet, but I'm sure they're gonna come as the show get closer. So definitely submit your questions to the Snap Custom page, www.snapcustom.com. Check us out on all these platforms: Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker. See, if you listen to any type of podcast, type in the Get Snap Podcast. 99.9% of the time, it is going to be there. And we definitely appreciate you listening to us. We definitely appreciate you supporting us. Get ready for tomorrow. We're going to have that Q&A. I'm just waiting on y'all submitting a question. If you don't send none, I got a way to do it anyway. But we're
That's
gonna
right.
definitely do a Q&A one way or another. Even if me and Mo gotta ask each other questions. Questions we'll get tomorrow night. But in the meantime, in between time, we about to get
Yeah, I'm
out
gonna
of
watch the
here.
rest of this
I'm
game
about
now.
to I'm
So
about to go to sleep. I'm tired. I had
mhm.
a long day. But I'm Darnell Sparrow. Right. I'm Darnell Sparrow. Antoine Smooth. This has
Peace.
been the Get Snap Podcast. And as always,